Oh boy, this is a video. Well, good morning, you guys. Long time no chat. Today's video is gonna be very exciting and something that I feel like you guys have been waiting for a long time. This isn't exactly how I was planning to announce it or anything, but sometimes that's just how life goes. If you guys read the title of this video, then you would have seen that I did indeed get my very first nursing job. Today's Friday and I actually start on Tuesdays. I gotta film this video because we need to chat about lots of life updates and kind of the story of what happened and where I'm at in my life and what my life is gonna look like for like the next however many years. If you guys are new to my channel, a little bit of my nursing background is that I went to University of Oregon and I graduated in 2020 with my Bachelor's of Science in Human Physiology. I always knew I wanted to do something in the medical field, but I wasn't really quite set on nursing. And during 2020, it was like solidified. I wanted to go to nursing school. So I graduated. I ended up taking a bunch of prereqs at my local community college. And during that time, I was applying to schools. I was being a full-time ski coach. I was doing YouTube, and I was also getting my CNA license. In December 2020, I got my CNA license, and I was just kind of waiting to hear back from schools. I really didn't think that I was gonna get in. I finished out my ski season. I started my CNA 2 program really shortly after in the springtime. Right in the middle of my CNA 2 program, I was literally like 2 weeks from graduating, and I was still applying to more nursing schools. I found out that I got off the wait list 2.5 weeks before school started at Linfield University in Portland. So I then did my fast track accelerated nursing program. It was a 15-month program and I graduated in August of 2022. I took my NCLEX in September. I decided that I needed to go live my life a little bit and I finally got to travel. I had really not done any big vacations or seen any of my friends or done any fun things while I was in school. I was like doing little weekend trips here and there, but nothing that was on the bucket list. So I kind of took advantage of that time, which I'm so grateful that I did. And thank you to you guys for being patient with me as I've kind of been like living my best life over the past 6 months, and YouTube has kind of been on the back burner, unfortunately. I'm ready to get started again and share this part of my journey. Today we're going to be talking about my whole journey of how I got my literal dream job, and if you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to announce what that dream job is. Let's chat about how it all worked out and fell into place, but it's been a little bit of a wild 6 months. Not only was I traveling during this time, but I also had committed to be a ski coach for my 3rd season in a row for both of my ski teams. I coached ski racing for kids ages 7 to 14 on a club team, and then I coach a high school group. It is so rewarding. I'm telling you, if any of you guys are in a slump and you have an activity or a sport that you love to do, please find a way to go back and get involved in it. There is literally a shortage of coaches, and these athletes need us so badly to be a part of their lives, and it is so rewarding as a coach to watch them grow and re-fall in love with the sport that you have put so much time into yourself. That has been a huge positive part of my life throughout all of nursing school and throughout this entire process. It's been that like stable, positive piece that has always kind of like kept me grounded and kept me busy. These past couple months, I have been skiing 4 to 5 days a week. I've been coaching up there or been skiing myself, and it's been really, really fun, but as you can imagine, super busy, hence the lack of videos. I literally coach all day and then I am wiped out and I just come home and fall asleep. Also, hence the tea, because I have to drink tea so that I can like speak, because I yell so much in the cold air that I just constantly am losing my voice. So we gotta stay hydrated. So I basically knew that I committed to coach for both of these teams, and my ideal start time was around like mid-February, because I kind of gave the teams a heads up that I could be starting my job, or you know, sometime in the spring. I didn't want to wait as late as June, but I wanted to be able to get through the majority of my season, especially because my schedule was really intense January and February. I of course looked into some residency programs. That's the route that most of my friends went into. They all wanted that extra education, which I definitely was super interested in, because I feel like being a COVID grad nursing student, you just didn't have the same experience as other people. I genuinely only had 3 rotations in nursing school, so I didn't get to see that much, nor did I really have a core idea of what I wanted, because I was interested in so many different things. So it was really hard for me to make this decision, but I was like, I'm just gonna start applying here and there to some residency programs that really interest me, that I would most definitely accept if I got the position, and we're just gonna see how it goes. It'll give me a really good opportunity to work on my resume and kind of like start the process from there. In November, I started working on my resume. At the time, I was like in New York, and some of those residency programs that would start in January, February, the applications were closing in October, November. So I started applying. I applied to a hospital system where I actually had my senior practicum, and that was kind of like a vague hospital system. And this whole experience was very eye-opening for me, because the application portal that a lot of these hospitals use is super dated, and it's really kind of hard to navigate, and to go back and like re-update your cover letter and not get things confused and make sure you have have the right version of that cover letter and that resume, and it was very confusing. So very good experience for me to start working on things like that. I'd never written a cover letter before, so it was a really helpful experience. I had tons of my nursing school friends luckily had gone through this whole ordeal a couple months prior, so they were able to send me some of their cover letters, which gave me some inspiration. My biggest piece of advice for you guys is to get a template if you care about how it looks. Nursing resumes, traditionally, it's not like we're applying for like an ad agency job, so it doesn't need to look perfect, but I wanted mine to look polished and to be easy to read. I was able to actually purchase one from Etsy. I'll leave a link down below to the resume that I purchased, the template that I purchased, and I'll put a picture right here just so you can kind of see the layout. I have like my name, and then I have my professional statement, and then I have all of my clinical experiences and the hours that I worked in each of those clinical experiences, and then it kind of drops down into like my actual work experience, and I've gotten a couple compliments that people really liked the way it looked. So if you're looking for some inspiration, definitely, you know, hit up that template. I think I paid like $4 for my template. In my mind, it was worth it. Did that, sent in my applications when I was actually in New York. The very next day when I got home from New York, I got a phone call from my dream hospital wanting to interview me right away, and I was so surprised that they had called me back so soon, because the other hospital system that I had applied for, my friends had told me that they didn't hear back for like months. They wanted to set up an interview so quickly. I was so unprepared. I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this, but I set the interview date to the day before Thanksgiving. It was a Wednesday, and I had basically a week to prepare for things, and I felt so lost. I have really in my life only interviewed for like one other thing, so I didn't have any experience at all. Two of my biggest recommendations for you if you guys are getting ready to go into this process is, one, please have a journal where you write down what you did that day in clinical, even if it's like short little blips that will help you remember things that you saw or particular patient stories. When I got too tired of doing that because I wasn't super consistent about it, a couple times I would leave myself a voice memo on my phone, because I could just be kind of like getting ready for bed after my clinical shift and just talking out loud of what I saw and what I did and what I learned, trying to practice, but I was also like so busy at the time, and I felt like really nervous for this interview. But I got all ready. I actually filmed the video of this entire process, so if you want to go back and watch it, I'll leave the link up here to that video. End of the interview process, I felt terrible about it. I wanted to get out of that interview room so badly. I was absolutely miserable. I could tell they didn't like me. They were drilling me with lots of questions that made me feel like they were questioning my story. That position was actually for an OR position, so it was for 3 different ORs. One was a peds OR, and then the other 2. And then at the same time, I had 0 OR experience, and I could tell that they probably had a lot of other candidates that had seen the OR or knew OR nursing was exactly what they wanted to do, and I wasn't entirely sure. I loved the team aspect of OR nursing, and I thought that really interested me, but I genuinely felt like I was gonna miss out on some of the patient connection, which is why I got into nursing. So everything worked out for a reason, is what I'm saying. Even though I was kind of like, I wasn't surprised that I didn't get an offer, but I just was a little bit discouraged and was a little overwhelmed, thinking, oh my gosh, how many interviews am I gonna have to go through to get what I want? That happened in November, didn't get the position. December, I jumped right into ski season, and at the time, I was kind of in this hole where I was stuck in between residency applications where the next cycle hadn't opened quite yet. So I was just kind of waiting around, and then January comes and I was feeling very antsy, like I needed to have a job, and all of my friends are working and getting off orientation, and I'm feeling very behind, but at the same time I'm like really busy, and I'm just feeling a little bit lost in the whole process. One afternoon I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do some LinkedIn searching, and I'm just gonna figure out what's out there, and I'm gonna open my eyes and see if there's some weird opportunity, even like part-time or something interesting that could work with my schedule. So I went on LinkedIn and I started just searching it up. I put on my notifications for kind of the nursing positions that I was particularly interested in, so I was getting emails too of things that became available. I came across a position that was my literal dream job. It didn't say new grads couldn't apply. It said that they preferred obviously 1 year of experience, which I didn't have, but I was like, okay, it has a little blip in the description that says how long new grad orientation would be. So I was kind of intrigued. And the only other thing that I needed to apply was my PALS certifications. PALS, if you don't know, is Pediatric Advanced Life Support. It's basically like ACLS, but for kids. I'll also try to link the actual place that I got my PAL certification because the guy who ran it did a really wonderful job. And in total, $350 that I will never see again. However, I do feel like it's worth it because I ended up with my dream job. I had also heard stories from other people who said that having their PALs or their ACLS already had helped set them apart. So if you're a nursing student and maybe you have someone in your life who's willing to support you getting some extra training and having that already done, that could help you stand out if you're like really trying to fight for this dream job. Pretty obvious that I've been interested in the pediatric world for a really long time. So I knew I was really hoping to work with kids and I wasn't gonna settle quite yet. So I was still applying to jobs that either I would like absolutely fall in love with and I would instantly say yes to, or that had some sort of interest in the pediatric world. The next couple days worked on my application. I was on the mountain. The next day I was coaching and I get a phone call and I was kind of just like answering my phone because I thought it was one of the racers or the parents calling me. Hi, is this Kiara? This is blah, blah, blah from blank. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it is. The phone call drops, like ski away. And I call them back and she's like, I'd love to set up an interview with you. Your resume looks amazing. I love the ski coaching thing. And I was like, I'm literally on the mountain right now. Like, let's do it. So she set up an interview for the next week. I was super nervous going into this, but a couple things worked out really well. One, this interview was virtual, which I was happy about. I interviewed on a Friday, right before I was going to the mountain. I was so nervous, but the best thing that literally saved me, which I feel like is the reason why I got this job, is because I was able to work with a new grad interview coach. One of my friends who I've been friends with since like second grade, when I was texting with her and talking about how she got her job, she was like, you need to watch this girl's videos. They're so helpful on YouTube. I literally watched all of them and then I met with her. So I clicked on the new grad nursing interview coach's YouTube channel. I'm gonna link it down below. That's where I met Mary, who literally changed my life. Her videos were so helpful. She has just a bunch of Zoom videos of people practicing their interview questions with her. So you get to hear a variety of questions and a variety of responses. And I felt like when I was watching the video, it helped remind me of certain stories that I actually had. So definitely recommend watching the videos. And then Mary was like, let's set up a time to prepare for the interview. I was literally so busy this week. And so the only time we could meet was right before my interview. I hop on the interview. I had sent her the rubric that they used to score me. So I was kind of aware of some of the questions that they were going to ask me. And we started going through them and she was so incredibly helpful. She would practice the question with me. It was such a good experience because she was on my team. So I felt like she was being really honest about, okay, leave this part of the story out. Or if I had two stories, I would say both of them and she would tell me which one she would rather hear. She's got such good experience because she sits on the interview panel for her hospital. So she's worked with a lot of new grads and she's just very encouraging. So if you guys are feeling stuck and overwhelmed and want that dream job, I'm telling you, you need to go check her out. I'll leave her Instagram and her YouTube channel down below. I'm like so appreciative because I don't think I would have gotten this job without her. I had to get like all of the wiggles out, and me practicing with like my friends or my family, I just felt like I wasn't fully in that professionalism mode. But with her, I was like really stepping up my game and trying to present it like how I would in the interview. There were so many people on the Zoom call. There was like at least eight or 10 different nurses from the unit who were all there. They were going around in a circle asking me questions. I felt like it was going pretty well. Like I finally felt a little bit more comfortable with these people and I could tell instantly that this floor, everyone loved working there. Everyone went around and shared how many years that they had been on this floor and they looked really young and had so many years of experience. This position actually was not in a residency program, so I knew it was going to be kind of competitive and I wasn't sure exactly what they were looking for, but they were very comforting and they said that they had completely redone their new grad orientation process. So it's now going to be like a 6-month process, which is actually longer than some of these residency programs. So I'll have a really long preceptorship, which will be fantastic. And I just walked away feeling really good about it and knowing that if I didn't get the position, it was because someone else had more experience than me, or they were just like, I wasn't what they were looking for. But I felt like I gave my all in the interview and that was such a wonderful feeling to have. So I promise you, if you had a terrible interview, you can bounce back from that and you can have a wonderful one and really walk away feeling like really proud and welcome in a community of nurses and inspired by them because they're just incredibly smart individuals. So I didn't hear anything on Monday, so I started feeling a little bit discouraged and I was like, it's okay, it didn't work out, like we're not gonna give up. On Tuesday, I went to my video review session with my team and I was driving to Target and I had just been like answering my phone on Monday and Tuesday just in case they were gonna call me. It was actually the call that changed my life. The very best part of getting that call was them telling me that they are gonna work around my coaching schedule so that I could finish out the season with my teams, which I'm just so so appreciative because that often doesn't happen in the nursing world, and it's just something that means so much to me and to the teams, and when I make a commitment, I do want to stick with it. Just so excited to finally have like this puzzle piece of my life finally put together and complete. That is the story of how I got my dream nursing job. I asked you guys really quickly like an hour ago to give me some questions that you had about my whole like experience. I haven't announced this to anyone. I have kept the secret for literally over a month. Let me look at some of the questions really quickly and I'll try to answer them, and then at the very end I'm gonna announce what my dream job is. Were there any red flags that you were looking out for in an organization / did any come up during the interview? Like I mentioned before, my very first interview with the OR position, I just felt like the environment was cold and I didn't really like click with the interviewers, and after talking to some of my friends and family about it, they were like, that's honestly not a good sign. Obviously I asked about how many years that they had worked on the unit, so it was a green flag that the unit I got hired onto, everyone seemed to stay there for a really long time, so not a lot of turnover, which was really great. How is the competition? Is it difficult to find a position? I have a lot of friends in nursing school going through this entire process, so here's what I have to say about it. It's not hard to find a nursing job if you don't care what you get and you're just not really sure and you want to get a med surg position. That's amazing. Or you really enjoyed your clinical experience at a certain hospital and you're like, I'll take any floor at this hospital, I love being here, then do it. If you are wanting to get into a really specialized position, which is what I wanted to get into, especially in peds world where it's very, very competitive. I feel like peds, labor delivery, NICU, any of those like traditionally maybe not so welcome to new grad positions are very competitive. It just depends on how many positions they have available, and in some of the peds positions, it was maybe like 2 or 3 people that they were accepting. It can be competitive if you're picky, but that being said, I really do encourage you to be picky, because if you have the ability to be patient and get something that you really want, please go for it. I am so happy I was patient. I'm really happy personally that I'm not in a float pool position. Some people really love it because they get exposed to tons of different units and they can kind of pick out where they like, but I knew for me and my personality that I needed a home base, and float pool wasn't really going to give me that. Are you full-time or part-time? I am full-time, and I'm actually going to be on nights, which is a little bit of a disappointment because obviously you guys know I've never done a night shift before and I'm really nervous for that part of my life, but I feel like we'll get through it together and I'll talk about my journey, and if you have any night shift tips below, please give them to me. That's just kind of like I knew what was going to happen in peds world. Besides the peds OR position, which was on days, there was no way that I was like not going to be on nights because it's just really competitive and you have to pay your dues, and I get that. So, do you officially have a job? Yes, I do officially have a job. It's signed in my contract and I was actually able to get a sign-on bonus, which I'm really grateful for. I'm a recent nursing school grad as well. Job searching has been far harder than expected. I agree. I feel like no one really quite prepared me for how difficult it was. It's extremely time consuming, especially the amount of time you spend on cover letters and editing resumes. And I'm so grateful for my mom and my friends to be able to like look it over and give me advice, because I really wouldn't have been able to do it without them. What were my requirements for accepting a job? I wanted a place where it seemed like I would fit in, like the community sense of the unit was really important to me. I ideally wanted a specialty, particularly peds was of interest, but I wasn't set on peds. I was open to other options, but I just felt like that would have been the ideal. I didn't really have any other ones because like in general, nurses in Oregon, most of our hospitals here are union, so we get paid pretty well. And yeah, there weren't like any other necessarily red flag things that I was against. Was my goal to stay in Portland or was I open to relocation? My goal was always to stay here. Obviously I signed a lease here and I'm really tired of moving, so I wanted a Portland job. A lot of questions about like, is it harder getting a job in a specialty like peds? Yes, but it's not impossible. Don't give up, okay? It took me a while, but don't give up. This is a really good question. How did I handle rejections, and is this experience taking a toll on my mental health? It definitely was difficult. I feel like I was getting really antsy, and although I knew I had made a choice for myself that made me really happy to keep coaching, I felt like I was just comparing myself a little bit to my friends, but I was also like happy for them. It was kind of like this weird in between, because I knew I was gonna feel exactly like this because I'm a very like I want to feel on track person, and so of course naturally you feel a little bit behind, but I think having that positive outlet of being on my ski team was really helpful, and of course having people who were like really encouraging to me and promised that it would work out, and it did work out, so there's hope. How does it feel to transition into a real working world after YouTube and other part-time jobs? So obviously I'm going to be trying to do all 4 of my jobs, 2 ski coaching jobs, a YouTube, and being a full-time nurse, so it's going to be crazy. If you guys follow Anna here on YouTube, who's also a night shift peds nurse, she's incredible. And honestly, she is like really giving me hope that I can have my normal life and still be a full-time nurse and make it work. I'm a Libra, so naturally I love finding balance in my life and it brings me a lot of joy. So although it's going to be very difficult, I feel hopeful that I'll get through it, and I'm probably going to feel really proud of myself as I survive each week. The last two questions that I'm going to answer, one is going to be, what specialties did I not consider? I was not interested in NICU. I'm just not really like a baby person. Like, I don't know. I never felt like I was going to be this amazing NICU nurse, and so I was going to leave that to people who dreamed their whole life about being a NICU nurse. I've never been interested in labor and delivery, just like not my thing at all. I was toggling with ICU, but I was having a little bit of a hard time, especially with PICU. I don't know, I just wasn't ready because I hadn't seen it, so I needed to like have a day of shadowing, which I did honestly think about trying to find shadowing opportunities just so I could be exposed to more specialties, because I felt like I was finding myself in a little bit of a hole, like I don't know what I want because I just haven't seen it. So those were some like ones that came to mind that I just wasn't considering at all. Top 3 hospital areas that I wanted to work in. So this will help narrow down what I actually ended up getting as my dream job. So top 3 hospital areas: the emergency room, peds oncology, and something with cardiology. I've always kind of been interested in the heart. Those were like my top 3 areas. Let's cue this little fun TikTok announcement that I made with my dad that I'm filming later today. Cue the announcement of what type of nurse I'm gonna be. Let's go. That's right, you guys. I'm going to be a pediatric hematology oncology nurse. I am literally so beyond excited for this opportunity. There's so many people that I want to thank who've been a part of my story and wanting to be a part of this specialty. I think I've had in my description box that I've always been interested in pediatrics and oncology. If any of you guys know my amazing friend Cam, who I was able to go to Hawaii with and I met kind of during COVID times, she had lymphoma. I actually met Cam when she was halfway through her chemo treatments, and I've kind of like followed along through her journey. I've always been interested in oncology. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of people in my life who've been affected by cancer, so I knew it was something of interest, especially like my relationship with Cam, just seeing like how close she was with her nurses and her incredible spirit and how she's just grown so immensely as a person through this experience, and how her nurses have been able to follow her along her journey. And being a young adult with any type of cancer is really difficult. You're kind of like in this in-between of pediatrics and the adult world, and that's why I'm also really excited, because my unit is going to be caring for kids who have cancer or any sort of blood disorders from literally birth all the way to 20 years old. So if you would have asked 10-year-old me which hospital I would have been working at and what specialty it would be in, it would be this. So excited and really grateful for this opportunity. Thank you guys so much for all the support and for listening to my story. I really hope it helped inspire you to get started and make your dreams come true, because I'm telling you, it can happen. I'm going to leave the resources that I mentioned down below, and if you want to follow along on my journey, I'm kind of going to be sprinkling in some stuff all over my social media platforms, so you can follow me on TikTok or on Instagram, both at Kiara Madisen, the same way that it's spelled here on YouTube. I'll leave links to those down below. And again, I just can't thank you enough for coming along on this journey and being patient for me as I like live out the last 4 weeks of my freedom. There's gonna be lots of videos coming, a lot of nursing stuff, and of course we gotta finish this apartment, so there's gonna be some apartment decorating videos as well. I love you guys so crazy much. Today's question of the day is going to be, if you are a nurse or if you're in nursing school, what specialty do you currently work in, or what do you want to work in? And then anyone else who's not a nurse, or if you're in a healthcare professional, please give me some advice of being a new grad. I'm probably gonna need to read some stuff so I can like build my confidence up, because I'm very nervous to get started. I've obviously been away from the nursing world for like 6 months, so I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but we're gonna jump in, we're gonna trust ourselves and work really hard, and that's all we can do. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you are excited about this next phase in my life, and I'm just really excited to see what's gonna be next. We're gonna learn a lot. 2023 is already starting out strong. We got a dream job, so here we go. I love you guys so much. Here's a big virtual hug, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye. In my pocket, it's a sweet, slow dripping in my vice grip. It's all gone by the morning, you know, man, always want more.